Alright, so the Eagles have a couple key injuries to deal with on offense, as it looks like they'll be rolling with a couple different starters. Plus, on the topic of offense, Lane Johnson shared why the group's gotten off to slow starts and what they believe will fix it. Meanwhile, it's becoming clear, as if it wasn't already, that Philly's not running Kellen Moore's offense. But one NFL insider doesn't think Nick Sirianni's the reason for that, citing Jalen Hurts as the one who's taken over the offense. So, what did QB1 have to say about the struggles, and why is that theory a little bit flawed? Let's talk about it, but first, let's run it. What's up, guys? So let's start with this Haason Reddick news because this thing is wild. I know, it's crazy that we're still talking about Haas almost 7 weeks into the season, but that's where we're at, because it does have implications for the Eagles. Of course, remember, less than a week ago, Reddick's own agency fired him after citing philosophical differences, which it turns out is because the Jets actually offered the former All-Pro another deal that the creative artist agency implored the pass rusher to take, especially when you consider the fact that the 30-year-old has already racked up $10 million in losses between fines, forfeited bonuses, and game checks.
Wait. You're telling me to dance. Do your job.
When is it ever not a negative sign to have your agency fire you? Like anyone with even a small understanding of the situation could tell something was off. But now it appears Haas was just so dug in that nothing was ever going to change his mind. In fact, Ian Rappaport shared it got so bad that Reddick basically stopped responding, stopped talking to anyone, and he just tuned out all advice. I mean, it's no wonder his agency fired him. Like, what are we doing at this point? Although naturally, Reddick still needed representation, so he turned to one of the best agents in the business in Drew Rosenhaus. Since Rosenhaus has had a strong track record of representing clients like Tyreek Hill, Antonio Brown back in the day, and even other Eagles like Darius Slay and Jalen Carter. And basically, the first meeting helped sell Haas that the two are on the same page.
Because I want every media guy, every player's rep, everybody to see you for what you are. The best kept secret in the NFL.
Well, that's the hope anyway, as the Jets actually granted Rosenhaus and Reddick the ability to explore trades and opportunities around the league, which it didn't take long for the Detroit Lions to pop up as one of the most likely buyers, especially with the season-ending injury for Aiden Hutchinson recently. And then the San Francisco 49ers have also been another team rumored to be in play as well, according to Josina Anderson. However, this is where Howie Roseman's genius comes into play. I mean, it's fairly common knowledge at this point that when the Eagles traded Haason Reddick to the Jets, that it was a conditional third-round pick, one that could turn into a second if Haas met certain statistical categories. But what was just recently unearthed, given the potential interest from some NFC teams in trading for the pass rusher, is that Howie Roseman put in another stipulation that if Reddick is traded to an NFC team, then the Eagles' pick from the Jets automatically becomes a second-round pick. So yeah, naturally, I'd like to see Reddick go to an NFC team at this point. Although frankly, the entire exercise feels like it's an opportunity to let Reddick and Rosenhaus go out there and see what's out there, test the market, or maybe more realistically, see what's not out there. And then, once Reddick realizes there isn't a better offer elsewhere, he might be ready to do a deal with the Jets.
Help me help you.
What I can tell you is you will see Haason playing football this year.
Perfect.
And hopefully it'll be with the Jets.
By the way, I got a lot of comments on the last live stream saying, what if the Eagles traded for Haason Reddick? But remember, that is against the rules of the NFL, which Ian Rappaport enlightened several of us on a few weeks ago, since any trade that happens between teams won't allow a trade back of sorts for 2 years. Now sure, if the Jets decided to cut him, then we've got a whole different ballgame. Yet again, when you take into account that Haas has the ridiculous amount of fines and is getting close to forfeiting his upcoming free agency, I think he'll end up signing the next offer from Jets owner Woody Johnson.
That's the best deal you're going to get.
I don't know, surely this thing can't play out forever. But speaking of the best deals, make sure to take advantage of Underdog's Boosttober picks. Not only are they the official sponsor of the channel, but they're giving out free promos every single day of the month. Plus right now, first-time customers can get a free Bo Nix pick for the Thursday Night Football game, meaning all you gotta do is hit that pick and another one to win big. Of course, as always, make sure to use my code PhillySpecial with a link in the description, or just scan the QR code using the code PhillySpecial again, and you get up to $1,000 in bonus cash. But that's not all. With the NBA season right around the corner, every NBA entry from the 19th to the 27th will receive an extra boost in winnings, so get in while you can. And also, I know those of you in Philly aren't able to do Pick'em yet, but they do have the draft option open, meaning fantasy basketball is in play. So if you want to join up and take my money, just check out the link in the description and use my code PhillySpecial. But again, by the way, the last league that we did like this filled up very quickly, so get in while you can. Oh yeah, the other shout out for Underdog is this signed Saquon Barkley helmet, which I'll be giving away at 80,000 subscribers. So of course, if you've not already, hit the sub button, turn the notifications on so you don't miss out on this one. Because who doesn't love seeing Saquon in the Eagles uniform? Well, okay, yeah, this week, Giants fans probably won't be too happy to see 26 in the midnight green. And honestly, those hurt feelings are already showing themselves up in an article popping up at the Giants feeling the Eagles tampered with the whole Saquon move. Except the NFL did an entire investigation and found nothing wrong. However, that hasn't stopped fans from referring to number 26 as Snaquan this week. But even with some of the social media crazies, Saquon doesn't expect an awful response.
I mean, I guess I said I don't expect to get booed, and I was meaning more of like this rivalry is so much bigger than what happened in the offseason between me and the Giants or Hard Knocks. Like, this has been going on for a very long time. So I've been on the other side, and I know how Giants fans feel. So I don't know what the environment is going to be like, but I'm excited. As a player, as a competitor, we kind of welcome those environments and those moments. So whoever it is, hopefully it gives me a little extra juice and I can go out there and perform and have my team win.
Look, I want him to go out there and run for 150 yards and 2 touchdowns, just absolutely stick it to the Giants for what happened, but it's going to be a little bit difficult considering their 7-man front and then also the fact that Jordan Mailata will not be there. By the way, Mailata will officially be out for at least a couple weeks with a hamstring injury, and it sounds like the same for Dallas Goedert as well, who didn't practice. Also, the Eagles did open up the practice window for Albert O, so it'll be interesting to see which direction they go in replacing DG by committee. Of course, I should mention that the Giants recently had both Dexter Lawrence and Brian Burns sit out of practice as well, since they're dealing with injuries themselves. So maybe, hopefully, it won't be quite as difficult for the run game. Yet it's what the Eagles' run game isn't doing that's hurting the offense and tells a bigger story than you might realize. For example, the Eagles run a ton of RPOs, read option, and inside zone runs, which obviously has been effective enough considering that Philly ranks in the top 10 in nearly every major rushing category. However, it's the living on the margin philosophy, especially considering who the offensive coordinator is, that doesn't entirely make sense. Because shout out to Brett Coleman, but he pointed out that outside zone runs are the most common run in the NFL. In fact, cumulatively, they've been called almost 1,200 times so far this season around the league. But Kellen Moore's offense has only run that play 9 times in 5 games. Okay, yeah, it's not Kellen Moore's offense, and we kind of already knew that given the route trees and the lack of actual change that we were promised about seeing. Add on to that the fact that Moore's offenses have historically used a lot of outside zone from under center, and that's just more of a proof point. But stick with me here, and shout out to Johnny Page for breaking this down more, but the reason that is important is because of what outside zone runs set up, especially when those runs are from under center. It's just that we're not seeing it practically at all. Because get this, the Eagles have run the ball maybe 2 to 3 times under center this year, yet the second lowest team in the NFL, the Indianapolis Colts, are well over 100 in that category. Of course, then that's led to the belief by some that perhaps it's Jeff Stoutland and his involvement of the run game coordination that's not opening up a willingness to run outside zone. Which who knows, maybe that's true and maybe it's not, but just because the running numbers by themselves in a vacuum look okay, it's not necessarily a recipe for success for the offense. Because let's be honest, if you don't or can't put your QB under center on early downs in the NFL, you're making your life very difficult. Like Greg Olsen made the case on that point, saying under center play action is the best way to pass on early downs in the NFL, whereas play action from the gun isn't as effective. Marrying run and pass looks is the key, it's not how well or how often you run. Now, obviously there can be some outliers, but since 2018, running play action from under center whenever you are throwing the football has been the most efficient play in the league. FYI, that checks out for Philly too, as Johnny Page shared the Eagles ranked 29th in play action on first down, yet they're 4th in success rate. It's like it works, but they just don't want to do it.
I think there's an element of game plan and flow with that. Obviously, there's times where under center can be very advantageous for us. Again, trying to put ourselves in the best position to be successful as far as an offense, and obviously, with Jalen's ability to run, there is some components to being in the gun and the pistol that kind of keep that threat alive in some of those cases. But obviously something that we put some time and effort into this offseason to utilize, and we'll continue to find different spaces to do that.
Again, it seems pretty obvious because there you just heard it. Like, this Eagles offense was supposed to bring significantly more plays under center along with play action. However, according to ESPN's Ben Solak, there's only been a less than 1% uptick in plays from under center this season compared to last year. And while motion has been better, Solak actually argues it's more of window dressing for an offense that isn't Kellen Moore's and isn't Nick Sirianni's, saying this is Hurts' offense. It's a spread gun offense with a complex running game that involves the quarterback. It wins with isolation routes and basic half-field concepts that take advantage of wide formations and the run threat via run-pass options. Translation, he's saying it's the same college offense the Eagles have been running for Hurts for years. Now look, we can all see it. It's the same offense, but is it really on Hurts? There is certainly a couple arguments for that line of thinking.
Hurts has limitations, and every coordinator that's been there has found out that he has limitations, and what that does, Anya, is it limits what they can call. They're going to win some football games, but there's going to be some weeks it's a struggle.
Over the past 3 years, Jalen Hurts, of the 43 qualifying quarterbacks, throws the ball over the middle of the field 43rd.
And by a wide margin, by 4 percentage points.
Yes, under 17% of the time. The two guys ahead of him are Justin Fields and Kenny Pickett. Right? Last year, he was 25th, or 2022, he was 25th of 27. Last year, he was 28th of 28. This year, he's 32nd of 33. That is 3 different offensive coordinators.
Yes. Yep.
So there is reason to believe that this is not just the offense, this is Jalen Hurts.
But let's remember, ESPN's Tim McManus reported right when the season ended that Hurts hoped to move away from relying too heavily on downfield throws in favor of short to intermediate and middle of the field throws. Plus, despite the fact that he doesn't do it often, even Fran Duffy pointed out that Jalen's near the very top in terms of NFL QB effectiveness when he attacks the middle of the field. Which, yeah, like we've all seen, QB1 has the ability to do that. Of course, yeah, I hear the counter argument to that saying, well, maybe he's good at it because he doesn't do it so often and defense are surprised by it. And maybe so, but it still doesn't explain this being Jalen Hurts' offense or a blatant choice to not even try to throw over the middle of the field more. And more importantly, run routes over the middle of the field.
Obviously, our guys have put a ton of investment on. They feel really comfortable with it. They do an excellent job of it. I certainly feel like, would we love to attack the middle field as time evolves? Absolutely, and we'll continue to find spaces for that.
Just not throwing it over the middle. Just kind of how it's gone. It's not like I like throwing anywhere specifically. It just hasn't panned out that way.
MetLife has been kind of...
Answer your question?
I think so. I mean, so it's not a preference thing.
It's not.
Look, I've heard arguments if Jalen can't do it, it's just on him. And sure, it's not the most reassuring sign if you look back at his draft profile with the weaknesses listed like issues with off-schedule throws, slow recognition on early throws, leaving slants and crossers behind targets, missing checkdowns for harder throws, elongated release, and not always trusting his pocket. However, when we're talking about this scheme in particular, I'm of the mindset that the math is not mathing, because to the point earlier about 3 different OCs, I personally say there's been one constant throughout those coordinators, and it's the head coach. Plus, remember, we heard all throughout training camp of the significant focus and reps from under center, throwing over the middle of the field, along with a lot more play action. Heck, you literally just heard Kellen say they'd like to do it more. I don't know, y'all tell me where I'm wrong, what I'm missing here. Do you side with Solak and believing this is a Jalen Hurts problem, or is it something else? Look, maybe I'm biased, but I'd love to see more help from the scheme itself. Use more motion instead of reducing it from week 1, and definitely start using more play action. Seriously, the Eagles ran just 2 play-action passes all game on Sunday. And you know what? If Jalen's not comfortable being under center, then at least start running more out of the pistol like I shared in my last video. Oh yeah, and like Lane Johnson said, how about running plays quicker?
When we go back and look at our offense, we waste a lot of time before the snap. We oftentimes snap it. The clock's really late. So we would like to get that fixed, have a sense of urgency. Now, we did run some tempo against the Browns, so that's worked in our favor. But I think the fast start's what he's talking about. We can put some points up early. Maybe we don't have to drag ass the rest of the game.
Why are you late in the shot clock? Why do you think you're late?
Because we have been. We've gone back and watched the film, but it's just something that we've had in practice that we haven't done well. I mean, we've emphasized it over the past few weeks to pick it up, so it has increased. But a few weeks ago, we were down there last in league as far as time before the ball snap. That's something we got to improve on.
And I guess the obvious disadvantage is that then defensive lines can time it where they know when to get off. I mean,
yeah.
Is that the only? I mean, that's the main thing. The only. Thing?
Yeah, that too, and I think just pushing the pace. I mean, it obviously hurts the defense where they can't get lined up. If they want to have all these packages, it's a lot more difficult to do it when you're in a hurry-up offense. So, I think we did a better job of that this past week against the Browns. So, but like I said, a couple weeks earlier when we were evaluating, we were down there last in the league. So
I'm glad somebody from the team finally said it, because I've seen all y'all's comments, and I've been saying the same thing, is this team moves too slowly down the field. So hopefully we start to see a little bit of progress there. Anyway, on the topic of progression, I got to give a shout out to my guy Nolan Smith. Yes, I realize it was just the Browns on Sunday, but at least he started to show some things on the field. Even picking up a sack in the game, although sure, it wasn't your traditional win the pass rush rep to get a sack. However, his play is at least worth some attention.
You saw it last year as a rookie here in Philadelphia, and you're certainly seeing it now in year 2. He gets a sack here on one of the first drives of the game against the Cleveland Browns. You see him here, the violent edge setting against a Pro Bowl right tackle in Jack Conklin. Look at the heavy hands here on contact from Nolan Smith against a good player there in Jack Conklin, and also the effort in chasing down the screen. These were 3 plays from the first 7 of the game against the Browns, and so he made his impact felt early, but then there was a great play he made later in the game as well, down in the red zone. Let's go to Vic Fangio's breakdown of that play.
Yeah, he played well, and then late in the game had a really nice play when they ran a special play to our left. He sensed it, applied what we've taught him, by the formation, and had a great reaction and a great play, and his speed allowed him to make it.
All right, let's see what Fangio's talking about here, because clearly Nolan Smith has a feel that this is coming. You see him kind of cheat inside. He's going to defeat the pin down from the tight end, from Jeff Swaim. Now look how prepared he is to take on the pull from the right guard, Zach Zinter. He's got tight hands. He locks out, stacks, sheds, finds the football, and then he talk about the speed to track down Deshaun Watson in the flat and make the play. Great rep there from Nolan Smith. I thought he had a good day on Sunday.
All right, I'll say it again. It was just the Browns, but you got to start somewhere. So maybe we see them continue and build this momentum against the Giants. But by the way, I'll have more of a breakdown on that as well as what to expect in the game on Sunday. So do me a favor, hit the like button if you're not already. Make sure you're subscribed and then turn the notifications on so you don't miss out on any of the upcoming videos. Until next time, this has been the Philly Special.